Man, oh man, 2021 was a hell of a year, wasn't it? The world was kind of reeling from COVID, society was adjusting back by the day. Things were optimistic after, one of the most historically arduous years in recent memory, only for everything to decline once again on November 11th. With the release of the Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Defective Edition, as if they couldn't fit any more thes in there. Obviously, a awful port of a 20-year-old video game trilogy carries the same amount of weight and impact as a worldwide pandemic. Doesn't it?
What better way for a company to cherish and celebrate the anniversary of their groundbreaking franchise than to shoo it away to an ill-equipped developer team that already had a history of making buggy ports?
Which included one of the games in this very trilogy. So how did that happen?
What's crazy is that the Definitive Edition was only announced a month prior to release. However, as the final product shows, a month feels just about right with how much time was spent making it overall.
It is pretty bad.
Nearly 3 years on, there have been updates and improvements since these games' initial release. So this begs the question, are these games finally playable?
No. You know what? Okay, fine. Yeah, technically, yeah. As a lifelong fan of the games, they're playable, but just not preferable. It's like the equivalent of kind of just settling for the no-name brand generic version of your favorite soda. If the original just isn't there, then it's just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll just have this instead. You're not really that enthusiastic to drink it, but you kind of still want to, just to scratch the itch.
I think aside from playing the games themselves, for me, one of the worst parts about this whole debacle is the depressing nature of its very existence. One can argue that this release proves to be an example of just how cynical and greedy the game industry is in our modern day.
Not to say it was all sunshine and roses back then, but let's just say if this was the 90s. Could Nintendo have gotten away with kind of packaging together all of the main Mario games and remaking them up to that point? Well, they did.
It was called Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo, and it was awesome. They added beautifully reworked graphics, alongside quality of life features such as save points, which made a positive impact on the playing experience, alongside debuting a previously Japanese-only Mario game. Now, that's honestly pretty cool.
Contrast that with how in 2020, Nintendo released the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which was, serviceable.
There weren't any full-on remakes this time around. Rather, it was just emulated ports for Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo Switch.
Alongside some fixes and updates, Nintendo didn't really add anything crazy and essentially just made a glorified eShop bundle that they sold for full price. For the 2 days, they even let you buy it officially. Yeah, life's hard for a Nintendo fan these days. It really is. As I said, it's just a mess now. It bums me out because the experience of playing a game for the first time and really enjoying it and falling in love with it, it's wonderful. It always is. And I'm not alone either in thinking that those original versions of the trilogy still holds up today. GTA 3 specifically, I have covered prior in regards to its significance to gaming overall.
So to try to share that enthusiasm to newer gamers to get them to play it for themselves is a pretty tall order when the most accessible version for that audience is an awful iteration that fully disintegrates the experience entirely.
Sadly enough, the quality of this release makes it hard all around to really even try to recommend GTA the Definitive Edition at all. To me, it barely caters to any audience, which is the worst part in the end.
Like, really, let's consider that. Folks already familiar with the games like myself would be interested in a new rendition of these classic titles, especially when it's done right, as Resident Evil has been doing that, ironically enough, since 2002, and are still at it with high success.
For newer gamers or just people unaware of Grand Theft Auto overall, this is such a poor introduction to such an amazing franchise, mainly due to the flimsy craftsmanship of this release. It's all the more feeling like we're at the butt end of a joke here, since keeping that in mind, they still had the balls to call this the Definitive Edition. let's say, fuck it, you do end up buying the game or whatever because it's like on sale or something. I'm actually guilty of this, not once, but twice. Fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. Forgive me for thinking that after a year between buying it on Nintendo Switch, which I know, and then later on Xbox, that it would actually be better. It wasn't.
Playing the game today, years from launch, it's honestly still not too far from where it was on day one. It remains way too buggy to even ignore on a casual level. Even with the wimpy attempts to modernize the game is laughable too. Like, was moving over the wheel system from GTA 5 really essential enough compared to just pressing the button to switch weapons or the radio station? Are you joking? Was this based upon feedback from actual playtesters? To be fair, there are improvements, like the modern map system now being present for all games. Compared to the originals, it wasn't until Grand Theft Auto San Andreas that we had something resembling how the map works today. In the original version of Grand Theft Auto 3, for example, there wasn't even a map screen at all. Unfortunately, these kinds of actual improvements just get overshadowed by everything else.
It's just so much stuff that feels so off, you know? And for how often that it appears, it just honestly adds up.
Like, in here, what's going on with the fences? It just spins around into the building before going right into the ground, instead of just remaining on top of it. It's so bizarre, since even street lights do the same thing here. Oh my god, you can even still interact with it before it... Oh, well, there it goes. Well... Poor Tommy can't even answer phone calls correctly since his head just twitches so compulsively. All I want to do is just save my game, but even then, I can't escape just how buggy this is. Why does it fall into the ground like that? In the original, you can just walk through it, but now it just has to be sucked right into the depths of hell before you can save your game. Cutscenes aren't exempt from bugs by a wide margin. In fact, it's also super common to see the characters just T-pose for God knows why.
Speaking of characters and cutscenes, it's worthy to note that even the artistic direction of this release is absolutely dreadful.
It's hideous. It's bland. Absolutely hideous.
The worst part about it is that this is the fixed version after all of these years. Can you believe that compared to the originals, this so-called definitive edition really does look worse?
Everybody just looks so plastic, and it's incredibly distracting when the originals looked more like a stylistic thing, like a workaround for the technology at that time instead.
And I know it's subjective, but come on here. Honestly, someone tell me which of these two is better. Like, I know both of them honestly don't look great regardless, but even then, I still feel like there's a clear victor in this competition here. Overall, this release just oozes cynicism. What honestly was the intention to put out something so botched for a special occasion? It's literally like this is gonna be how you celebrate 2 decades of your most beloved franchise?
From the poorly done AI upscaling to just really lazy copy and paste jobs like with these windows, it just really tells you all you need to know in terms of the care put into this release.
Is it really a good thing now that it doesn't honestly seem out of character for Rockstar Games in their current form to be okay with shipping out such a bad release entirely for monetary gain? I mean, they've already milked Grand Theft Auto 5 and GTA Online for like, what, the last 10 years? This was only before finally revealing Grand Theft Auto 6, which was only because of a high-profile leak that had happened earlier in the year.
Now, I don't want to insinuate that Rockstar totally didn't care at all. They did issue an apology shortly after launch, saying that the definitive edition, quote, did not launch in a state that meets our own standards of quality, or the standards our fans have come to expect.
Alright, so the note does continue on. It says, quote, we have ongoing plans to address the technical issues and to improve each game going forward. With each planned update, the games will reach the level of quality that they deserve to be.
Following this, an update was released that did address issues that were present from launch. However, since then, we've only gotten 3 major updates, with the last one being October of 2022. Go figure. Despite all of this, GTA Definitive Edition still sold at least over 10 million copies, although since the well seemingly has dried up due to, again, GTA 5, and now with the official announcement of GTA 6, I'm pessimistic as to when we're ever gonna get another update that will match the quality of the originals.
And speaking of the originals, those got wiped off the storefronts when the Definitive Edition got released. Yeah, I'm already feeling like this is like coming down again. Yep.
It was only after that note from Rockstar that they said the original trilogy would be reinstated, but only on their proprietary storefront, and only if you bought the Definitive Edition at launch.
Okay, so it's better than nothing, but it still sucks.
What's even more of a slap to the face is that Rich Rosado, a producer at Rockstar Games that was there for the development of the originals, said in an interview with USA Today that these were done for the sake of preservation? Then why take away access to the original games? It doesn't make sense.
This shit's real fucked up. Everything.
The best case scenario we could have gotten out of this was full-fledged remakes, but I understand the time and resources needed for that may have prevented it from happening. That's fine. So why not just literally remaster the games in the first place like normal, or just do what Nintendo did and make emulated versions that are able to be played on current gen systems? Why insinuate on such a short time frame, especially for a small studio to tackle porting 3 games to a modern game engine? Also, in the end, it doesn't even improve the overall experience.
Wait a second, I just realized the camera angle's off. What the fuck? Alright. Anyways, on a serious note, it actually wasn't like a few months, it was more like 2 years. Within that 2 years, it was spent just porting everything over to that newer engine, alongside moving over all of the assets and remaking them as well. It was just too much in too little of a time, honestly. It just wasn't fair for both the developers that made this, and also too for the gamers that it was meant for.
It's perplexing and ultimately mind-boggling, as a fan who wouldn't even mind giving up their money for a re-release of their games.
Like even me, I gave it the benefit of the doubt twice.
Bringing up Resident Evil again, how many more millions of times will they get me to buy that damn game with the twink on every console?
How many more times? To add even more salt on the wound, there was a more recent update that featured fixes all across the board and also improved visuals. So you may ask yourself, well, okay, that's great. Why did it take you this long in the video to talk about that? Well, my answer to that, my friends, is actually the fact that it's locked behind fucking Netflix. Goddamn Netflix on your phone.
That shit sucks. Damn.
So you're telling me the most recently updated version that features those better visuals and bug fixes isn't available on PC or consoles? No. Of course not. It's actually just gonna only be through Netflix on your mobile phone. Why not? Why not make this more of a joke for the fans? This sounds so absurd, but literally think about it like this. It's great to have GTA being accessible and available on such a platform like Netflix. It's more so the fact that this has been the most recently updated version that does include improvements, and it's locked behind specifically the mobile app version of Netflix only. Like, it's only on there. You can't play it on Netflix on your desktop or even through your consoles. Just no, like, phones only, man.
In the end, nearly 3 years on, Grand Theft Auto The Definitive Edition is a joke. And it's a sad case not only for the fans of the franchise, but also for the developers as well.
If you're able to play the original games through whatever means, I'd say do that. I'd say do that any day, then play this version of them.
As otherwise, it's not really worth it. Even being on sale or included in that weird GTA subscription. What? Well, it still feels dirty to play.
So my lights have gone out while filming this portion of the video, but we're at the end anyway, so might as well just let it. While we're wrapping this up, I wanted to quote a modern day philosopher, Marie Kondo, in that Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition definitely does not spark any joy. and I don't recommend anybody honestly playing it. I really don't, unless you absolutely have to, more so out of curiosity than a genuine kind of fulfillment to check out these games like on their own merits, because you can still kind of do that, but the weirdness and the stuff introduced in these particular versions of those games colors your perception of it, which is honestly, that's my biggest point of all. That's why I don't recommend it. But anyways, yeah, I don't recommend playing this game. I think it's awful, but what do you guys think? We're here at the end of the video. Tell me your thoughts on Grand Theft Auto, the Definitive Edition. Does it hold up after 3 years? Has it gotten better? Rather, will it get better? That's the question at the end of the day. And wrapping this up too as well, if you do happen to enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, definitely click that subscribe button and also to that bell so you'll always have that notification for when I do upload. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I think right about now I'm gonna fade off into the ether, and a bunch of videos and subscription things will pop up. No!